Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of KhunShawn Yapps. I appreciate you guys checking out and enjoying the series, man. It's very comforting to know that people are actually learning from the series, and on top of that, people are enjoying, what they're hearing, and hopefully you guys are getting some of this knowledge and using it in your own lives. Because at the end of the day, I think it's important that we start to help each other. I just got off the phone with my aunt, almost a 2 hour long conversation. And my aunt is one of those people that'll let the skeletons in the family out. So she was informing me on like a lot of history, and a lot of history that's not good. That being said, every family has this. Every person in general, everybody has skeletons. Some worse than others, obviously, but that is what we call comparison. And comparing your problems is like comparing solutions. It's cool to compare, but you need to just figure out what is it that's driving you in your situation. So learning a lot of shady things personally has made me feel like hurt people, which is obvious, man. Like if you are hurt, you're gonna eventually hurt somebody else, and that happens because somebody originally hurt you, and then that person was originally hurt, and it's a never-ending cycle, man. And to break the cycle, unfortunately, we all have to be the ones to break that cycle, because you can't expect somebody else to do it. And to break the cycle, you got to internalize all the information, all the processes. And at the end of the day, I think you have to try and resonate with the problem. Like, where did this problem come from? And not immediately just say, you're the bad guy. Even though they might be the quote unquote bad guy, right? If you're looking from a good guy, a bad guy perspective, they might be the ones that are the flaw, the issue. Where did it come from? For some people and for other people, it's definitely easier to try and have that conversation, for one, and for two, see if you can get anywhere in that conversation. And if you can't, right? Because some people, they don't do anything, right? They're so wrapped up in their own perception of themselves that they don't really care about anything else. It's kind of hard to have that conversation, and it's kind of hard to break that barrier, right? I'm still learning personally, how do we even get towards to breaking that barrier, but I've always believed that conversation will help solve the issue. The problem is trying to get the conversation to start, and even if it does start, how do we naturally get to the said underlining issue? These things take time, they take patience, and they also take precision, and you also have to learn and know how to actually get there. So, I've been using this psychology to try and unpack a lot of things, right? Before I was talking to my aunt, I was talking to a close friend of mine for 40 minutes about what they wanted to do in their life, what they wanted to be. And of course, the answers were like, I want to do great things, and I want to provide for my family, and I want to have, my family be able to see amazing things, because I feel like I am able to be the one to make these things happen. And of course, at the end of the day, I think it is possible for you to make these things happen for other people, to affect their lives positively. But first, you need to fix your own stuff. You need to get your ducks in a row before you can even think about giving other people opportunities. You still got to figure yourself out. And just like I told him, there's no timeline for this. You just live your life. And as you live your life, things will naturally fall into place. The knowledge will fall into place. The skills will, especially if you're going out and you're actually trying to acquire these skills will make you better and lead to more things falling into place. And then that's when you can start affecting things. So you could affect the change by trying to show people a new way of life, or when it comes to the case of my family, you can try and unpack the trauma that's there. But first, you gotta unpack your own trauma. You gotta fix your own life before you could ever come close to trying to help other people. Because even if you were to help other people, how could you make sure that they value it, right? It's one thing to, take your family member and say, okay, we're going to go on vacation. We're going to go to Japan. We're going to go to Hawaii, whatever. It's one thing to actually take them there and it's like, wow, cool, we're on a trip. It's another thing for them to actually value the trip, value the effort that went into creating such a trip, right? To give them the life experience that you would want to give them, because in a sense, that is what you were doing. You were saying, hey, I want to make other people's lives better. And I want to give them some enjoyment that they normally wouldn't have. And that's because I was able to do it, which is a part of, the ego, or even the persona, or even the shadow. To the extent more, I would say more the persona than the ego. But, we already had these conversations. Quick rundown for people who don't know what that is. Like, this might be your first video, right? The persona is how you want to be perceived by other people, normally in a positive way, right? You want people to see you like this strong but silent character, or you want people to see you as a hero or a parent. And then the shadow would be like the inverse. These are like the negative traits, the negative aspects. And then the ego tries to facilitate both of these things, and then it'll just come out however it comes out. And these are things you just have to work on in general so you can have a more balanced life between the persona and the shadow and the ego. And this is a lifelong thing. This isn't something you can just fix. It's not like, oh, I learned this and now I'm better. It's like, no, you got to work with this and train this. And that's what I've mostly been doing very recently, that I've been putting these types of lessons and practices so I can become better, right? Because I don't know about you, but I like becoming better, just in general. So trying to become better, you have to resonate with a lot of issues that you maybe suppressed throughout the years of your life. And trying to unbottle that and unravel it, it takes one trauma at a time. It takes one issue at a time. So like a good test would be like, write down 5 issues that you have with yourself. Like maybe you feel like you're insecure about your looks, or maybe you're overweight and you want to lose it and you don't know how, right? Write these things down and then look at the first 3. Prioritize these 3 things that you have an issue with. If it's weight, well, we know how to solve weight loss, right? There's many channels on YouTube to help solve weight loss, right? Eating less, calories in versus calories out, and then exercise. And you have to find time for these things. And you could have every excuse in the world why you can't, or why you don't want to, or why you feel like it's impossible for you to do so. And you're right. You are right. You have every reason and excuse not to be able to do it. But do it anyway, because that is how you become better. It's not, oh, I have an issue and now I can't do it. It's, I have an issue, let's solve it. Let's figure it out. And you don't have to figure it out on your own. That's the great part about it. Whatever your issue is, somebody's written a book about it. And if somebody's written a book about it, well, there's probably an audio book about it, and then you could listen to it on YouTube. Because if you're on YouTube all the time anyway, you should probably use it to benefit yourself and not just entertain yourself. But that's just my perspective. These are the things that I do. I know for a fact some people just only look at entertainment because they rather deny or avoid whatever it is that their issue is, because that's normal. That is your shadow. You're avoiding these things. You don't want to get better because that's your shadow, and you don't want to deal with your shadow. So you start to do things for other people, because if you make other people happy, you think, in a sense, you'll make yourself happy. Nah, you're just feeding your persona, which feeds your ego, which also feeds your shadow. And it feeds your shadow, again, in a negative way. So if anything, you're making your situation worse by not actually trying to fix it, by going out and say, well, I made a mistake, and instead of trying to remedy that mistake, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try and make other things better, because maybe that'll make me feel better. Nah, it's not really truly going to make yourself feel better. It'll superficially make yourself feel better. It'll make your persona feel good, because now you're living up to the expectations that you put on other people to look at you in a certain type of way. And then it feeds your ego, because you get a little boost like, oh yeah, I'm the one that was able to do this. Look at me, I can do it. And it feeds your shadow because, oh, look, there they go again, showing off. There they go, trying to fix every single issue, but they're not fixing the issue with themselves. And then the ego, or in the shadow, gets stronger, which also will make your ego stronger. In a sense, will be like, the shadow says, look at them, they're not doing anything great. So your ego will say, look at you, you're doing great, you're doing amazing. And you're making it bigger and bigger and bigger. So you're peacocking. So more people in general can see, look how great you are, which again will feed into the persona. Look how great I am. So I hope you guys learned something from this. Remember, your persona, your ego, your shadow, these are things that you will have to deal with if you want to fix the underlying issues that you have. And everybody has underlying issues. And if we can all fix ourselves, I believe we will be able to fix more of society in general. Because a lot of society is messed up. And it starts with yourself. It doesn't start with society. It starts with you. It starts with me as well. And that's why I'm making this video. So, hope you guys enjoyed this episode of KhunShawn Yapps. And thank you so much for watching, if you indeed still are. It's your boy KhunShawn, another human living on this earth. And you guys have a good one. Peace.